Dave Parody here with another Slide Makeover video podcast based on the ideas in my book, The Visual Slide Revolution. Today we're going to take a look at Excel spreadsheets. This is something that I commonly run into, especially with financial professionals or folks who are at an executive level reporting results. And I'm going to make this a two-part makeover. Next time we're going to look at another aspect of making Excel spreadsheets meaningful. Today we're going to take a look at this slide. Now, this this is a typical slide when we're talking about financials. We take an Excel spreadsheet and we simply copy it onto a PowerPoint slide. And when I saw this particular slide delivered, I actually turned around and looked at the audience to see what they were doing while the presenter was talking about these numbers. And what happened was the audience looked at the numbers trying to figure out what the heck they meant, what was relevant to them, and I don't think any of them actually looked back at the speaker, the presenter, to see what they were saying and which numbers they were highlighting. The problem with these type of slides is that there is way too much information, and in fact the speaker only actually refers to a few of the numbers. The rest of them are there simply because they were in the spreadsheet, and it's just easier to copy the whole spreadsheet onto the slide. This does not work because everybody's confused, and what they walk away with is something that may or may not be what the speaker wanted them to walk away with, because they'll focus on a particular number or set of numbers which may not be the one that you really wanted them to focus on. So what I did is, in the first iteration of the makeover, is I'm going to take this particular slide and take a look at how would we redo it if we felt that we needed to still use a table from Excel. So here's the new slide that I created from this large Excel spreadsheet. Now folks, when we're taking a look at our quarter, it was kind of okay, but we're behind plan. Now, we're behind plan for a couple of reasons. First of all, pretty much across the board, we've had higher costs. And that would be okay if we had greater revenue, but actually in the services and maintenance areas, we've had lower revenue. Let's take a look at what's happened. So compared to our plan in our first quarter, our product revenue was up by almost 2%, which is a good story. Unfortunately, the rest of the revenue areas, not such a good story. So if we take a look at services, down almost 16%. That is a big hit to take in the first quarter compared to plan. And our maintenance was down by 3.4%. So you can see that even though products was a good news story, the rest of it dragged down the results fairly significantly. So we need to place a focus in the next quarter on the services and maintenance areas and try and bring them back up towards plan. So if we had lower revenues, then we really need to keep a tight control on costs. But our cost of goods sold actually went up compared to plan. Now that's not good because it means we're spending more to deliver actually less services. Operating expenses were down, which is a good news story, except they were down only 0.3%. If revenues are going to be lower, then our overhead or operating expenses should be keeping in line. So we're going to have to, this quarter, focus on some cost control, make sure we're keeping those in line, and really focus on the services and maintenance areas to bring their revenues up. So you can see how this slide focuses our audience on those areas that we want them to remember and take some action on out of that overall set of spreadsheet numbers. So before we get to the lessons, again, more information on the book is at www.visualsliderevolution.com. More information about all of my other training, consulting, other sorts of resources at www.ThinkOutsideTheSlide.com. Our lessons for making Excel spreadsheets meaningful. Part one is start always with creating a headline. Create a headline for your slide that summarizes what you want the audience to remember. What are the important points out of these calculations? If you just title it financials, nobody has any idea what it is they're supposed to be looking for. And when you got this large Excel spreadsheet, only ever show a summary of the key figures. So what I've done in the Excel sheet is I pulled out, here are the key numbers that I want to focus on because those are the ones that are the message for this particular audience. So only ever show a summary table if you're going to use a table out of Excel. And then what you notice I did is I added arrows, up arrows and down arrows that show direction of the particular results. So whether they were up by a certain percentage or down. If that's something that's going to be helpful and needed, use that. I find it easier than plus or minus. That tends to clutter up, and some people don't understand plus and minus in the right direction, depending on their background and their understanding of the figures that you're presenting. And finally, if you're going to use an Excel spreadsheet pasted into a slide, remember it pastes in as a PowerPoint table. PowerPoint tables only can be animated, built row by row, by using exit animation of overlying rectangles, which is what I did in this makeover. So reveal them one by one so that you can keep the focus of the audience on each item as you are talking about it. Of course, that's the last step in the 5-step quick method in the book, The Visual Slide Revolution. So this has been Dave Parody with another Slide Makeover video podcast. Next time, we will look at how do we make Excel spreadsheets meaningful by taking it just beyond a table that you put onto a slide and making it even more persuasive in the visual.